fall on Ukraine, another country turned into a permanent war zone.
That's right.
We're sending a very strong message to any other countries considering a policy of neutrality. And certainly the Germans seem to be getting the message. We've steamrolled them into supporting lethal sanctions against one of their biggest trading partners, something they've been resisting for a decade.
Yeah, right there, Smiley. We got the Nazis integrated into a new paramilitary national guard, waging all-out war against the Russian population of Ukraine. And even the slightest pushback from Russia is being sold everywhere as Russian aggression.
Wonderful. Thank
God for our free press, Smiley.
Our free press.
Well, you know, I'm thinking we need to step things up a little in the Middle East. We're losing ground. Despite everything, Assad is still there. He still controls every provincial capital in the country. And Al-Qaeda are losing ground. Our friends in Al-Qaeda are losing ground in Yemen, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya. I've been thinking, we need a new force, Smiley.
Don't worry, General, we've been working on it. Our people on the ground are telling us a new splinter group is about to emerge from Al-Qaeda. Bigger, badder, more brutal than anything we've seen before. They are the remnants of Zahiri's lot in Iraq.
Zahiri, huh? How do you like that? The leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq? Hey, wasn't he the guy that even Bin Laden said was a little over the top?
Exactly. They were nearly extinguished in 2010 until our little adventure in Syria gave them a new base, more fighters and more weaponry. They crossed the border to Syria and have been building up their strength ever since. Looks like they're going to head back to Iraq now with a vengeance.
Iraq, huh? Well, those ingrates in the Iraqi government could sure use learning a little lesson. Refusing to exempt our soldiers from prosecution, refusing to get on board with this operation in Syria, and still selling half their oil to China.
Exactly, General. With an insurgency on their own borders once again, they'll be forced to turn back to us for support.
I'm with you, Smiley. Kind of like a protection racket, offering protection against the same death squads we ourselves unleash against them.
There you go again, General, so very American. Protection racket. We prefer to call it the provision of real operational training for the execution of counter-terrorism and our noble reversal of all corrupt, kleptocratic, evil tyrants. Although the acronym, by pure coincidence, is indeed protection racket.
Smiley, you're good. So what's the name of this Al-Qaeda 2.0?
Well, they're planning to go by the name of ISIS. Rather fitting, don't you think, dear boy?
Smiley, you lost me.
Oh, come on, come. You remember the original Egyptian pronunciation of the goddess Isis?
No.
Asset. And they'll be our greatest asset since we launched this thing back in 2011. Think about it, General. You've been providing the Iraqis with plenty of the latest equipment, right?
That's right, Smiley. Nothing but the best.
Well, you don't think they'd risk their lives actually using it, do you?
Of course not, Smiley. You know how the Iraqi army works. They pay to join up. In return, they get a license to extort money at checkpoints. The equipment's just prestige for them and a little kickback for us.
Exactly. All we have to do is to make sure they leave that equipment intact for our new friends to collect before deserting their posts. And these ISIS characters will have everything they need to return to Syria with a vengeance. It will be just the shot in the arm our flagging insurgency needs, and it will get the Iraqis crawling back into our arms.
Smiley, you're like a fine goddamn wine. You know that, getting better with every passing year. But you know, there's something else we need to discuss, Smiley. Africa. Questions are being raised after our ambassador was lynched in Libya. Congress, hearings. Plus now you've got this Boko Haram guys in Nigeria, the collapse of Mali. I'm a little worried this thing is starting to spiral out of control.
Out of control? Dear boy, you're missing the point. What happened to the poor Ambassador Stevens was a tragedy, of course. But you have to see the bigger picture. Nigeria used to be ours, and now they're making overtures to the Chinese, like so many others. You see, with the rise of China, countries like Nigeria no longer depend on us for finance, for markets, or for loans. So they're starting to go their own way. We need a way of bringing them back into the fold. And with the rise of Boko Haram, they're forced to come running back to us for military aid, security, for anti-terrorist training. Our little enterprise in Libya has destabilised the whole region, you're right. But that's what killers are in, don't you see? They need our help to fight the terrorism we have unleashed. We sowed the seed, they're into the whirlwind, and now they're running to us for shelter. Can't you see the beauty of it, General?
I see, so it's your little protection racket once
No,
again.
you mean our provision of real operational training in the execution.
Sure, Smiley, that's exactly what I meant.
Quite so, but for the whole thing to work, it's crucial to ensure that Libya remains the centre for the base of destabilisation of North and West Africa. Libya is where they all trade, where they all get their weapons from. But that's just the problem, General. Not only are Al-Qaeda and co now losing territory in Libya, the Egyptians are weighing in as well, fighting against our irregulars. If they succeed in stabilising Libya, this could spell disaster for our whole strategy. General, we need to find a way of getting more funds and weapons to our jihadi friends in Libya without it going through the books.
Well, that's something we know all about, Smarty. The key is you got to provide these guys with access to a market so they can fund themselves. You remember the Contras, don't you?
Yes.
Nicaraguan terrorists. Our terrorists. We were supporting their attacks on the Nicaraguan government, Sandinistas, communists. But Congress didn't want to support approve the weapons transfer. They started getting all squeamish because they were attacking schools and hospitals and all that. Wets, that you would call them. So what do? We gave them unimpeded access to the U.S. drugs market. It's the beginning of the crack epidemic. Heady days, Smiley, let me tell you. We gave them a monopoly on it. Helped them to get it into the country, gave them protection, and had the FBI lock up all their rivals. But in a couple of years, they had the Sandinistas on the run. Nothing simpler. Taking candy from a baby. But you know the key, Smiley? The key was the war on drugs. When we started bombing coca plantations in Mexico, that is what made the trade so lucrative. And that is what ensured that only the most vicious and brutal gangs, our gangs, the Contras, were able to survive in that militarized environment. Now that's what you got to do, Smiley. You got to find a trade. An illegal trade with massive and growing demand. You got to militarize it. Declare war on it. They'll knock out everyone in the trade except your guys. The guys with the guns. They'll send the profits in that trade through the roof. Basic supply and demand. They'll come back stronger than ever. Let's try to test it, Smiley. You just got to find that trade.
Well, there's only one trade blossoming in Libya at the moment. People smuggling.
People smuggling! Well, that's perfect. Declare a war against people smuggling. Tell them you're going to go after these evil people smugglers, you're going to blow up their boats, they're a menace to Europe, and there's only one language these fucking people understand, right? People public love that shit. ISIS will monopolize the trade in no time. They'll be the only ones that stand the attack. And the profits will go through the roof. This will be just the shot in the arm they need, General. Smiley.
The problem is, General, is that, well, you talk about humanitarian disaster, these blasted Italians keep pulling them out of the water. They've had this, yeah. Well, General, you know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You really are thinking like an Englishman now. We just need to find a way to get the public to go along with it.
Okay.
The appetite for war, I'm afraid, is reaching an all-time low, General.
That's true.
The only thing that really works these days is a humanitarian disaster, a tragedy on a massive scale. You have a disaster big enough and all rational thinking goes out of the window. This is no time for talk, this is time for action, you know, the sort of thing.
So you need a humanitarian disaster. Well, don't these boatloads of immigrants capsize every so often? Just use that.
The problem is, General, that these blasted Italians keep pulling them out of the water. They've had this ballet search and rescue operation running for a year. I reckon they've saved about 150,000 migrants from drowning.
You gotta put a stop to that, Smiley. We need them to drown to justify the war. You got a lobby to make them stop, Smiley. Apply some leverage. Once they stop rescuing, they'll start drowning. Then it's just a matter of time before you get the disaster. There'll be an outrage, and you just need to direct that outrage to war.
General, it seems to me that you're the fine wine.
Oh, thank you very much.
Talking of which, I think we should raise a toast to our new friends. To ISIS, our new asset.
To ISIS.
To ISIS.
What with this?
It's tea, General. English tea.